Greetings. Ever have a coughing fit before you go live? Greetings, unsettled souls. Welcome to the Correct Views. Sam I be Gangi doing political commentary for the Media Speaks and recovering from the worst coughing fit to ever hit somebody before they go live. Hey, friends, let me tell you something. I get the strangest requests. Somebody asked me, I always get questions about the dumbest things, by the way. And we're going to get into all the news. We've got so many topics. Don't leave, because people leave and they don't realize that the topic that's in the name is coming up. If they're all in order, don't go anywhere. The hat. I get so many questions about this damned hat. I talk about Fukushima. I talk about the police state. I talk about the world that we live in and how truly and honestly messed up it is. I talk about things like mandatory blood draws. I talk about breakthroughs in science. I talk about the planetary orbit of Pluto and its moons. People ask me about the hat. I get so many questions of it that I'm going to lead the damn show with it. I'm a DJ. Sometimes when I get off work, my hair looks fine. I wear the hat. I don't wear the hat. Like today, it's fine. Sometimes working in a club like I do, I'm a DJ, your hair doesn't look so good. You're stringy, it's yuck, whatever. I wear a hat. Now, can we please talk about something that matters? Could we do that? Can we move on? Could somebody leave a comment about something that isn't the hat? How about that? How about this video? Rand Paul makes Trump look foolish. I'm not going to lie. I like Trump. If I had just said this to a friend of mine, if my ideal as a libertarian-minded person, if my ideal was a 10, Donald Trump is a 7.5, maybe a 7.8. There are a lot of things about Trump I like. He's wrong about Snowden, but for the most part, I like the man. We tend to agree on issues of well, for one thing, there's this myth about him that he's racist, for instance. It's not racist. He actually wants to make it easier to get into the country, cheaper to get into the country. He doesn't think it needs to be sold to the highest bidder. He just wants to make sure that you're going to be a productive citizen and not hurt anybody. That doesn't make him a racist. It also doesn't make him a libertarian. And if you notice in the description, I say that I like Trump and that I really like Rand Paul. Well, I loved Ron Paul. He was sort of a couple issues I disagreed with him on, but he was sort of the best candidate that I've seen in my lifetime, except for maybe Harry Brown. Well, Rand Paul had a very good night last night. I was asked how good. Uh, well, good is a big word. She said, "Did Rand do? How did Rand do? Did he go? Was it good?" Good is a very big word in this instance because Rand Paul is at the absolute bottom of the list. I mean, he's down there with Jeb, just about. Jeb will fix it, by the way. Hilarious. The Jimmy Savile slogan. I'm the first to point that out, by the way. Jimmy Savile's show was called Jimmy will fix it. Jeb Bush's campaign slogan is Jeb can fix it. that's almost as funny as when Obama used forward. And of course, Hitler's campaign slogan, Vaterwerkt, meant forward. Rand Paul is not a great libertarian, but he is certainly the best man running for president to be president. That's clear and far away the truth. Well, Trump spoke very poorly. What Trump was attempting to say was that China holds all the cards with us. And while they're not in this particular TPP, which is a terrible TPP, is a terrible, terrible thing for America to be in, it locks us into trade agreements that will lead to more outsourcing and more destitution in the country. What Trump, I believe, was trying to say was that since China has so many of our goods made there, that this affected policy greatly in terms of how America does business with other countries, because China is so locked into America in terms of us having sent our jobs there at the expense of the average American worker, I might add. Well, Trump sort of put his foot in his mouth, because that's not what he said. He made it sound as if China was in the TPP, and he isn't. I don't think that Trump was wrong. I think it was worded poorly, but Rand Paul called him out on it, and by in many instances, he was said to have won the debate. Well, if most people think that both Trump and Rand won the debate, Trump and of course Carson are leading, Rand is at the bottom, then did Rand have a good day or not? I guess we won't really know what good means until we see what the new poll numbers are. But anyway, I thought it was worthy to report on, because I was watching it when I got off work at my other job, and Rand actually did do very, very well. I'm pleased to the max with what I saw. So I'm going to go ahead and read this to you, and then I'm going to let you see the, here on Fact Camp, let you see the actual exchange before we move on. A strong debate performance by Rand Paul last night earned respect even from those who have been relentlessly attacking him. The highlight being when Paul fact-checked Donald Trump and made the frontrunner look like he had no clue what he was talking about. As Trump was midway through the aimless rant about China taking advantage of the TPP agreement and manipulating its currency to weaken the U.S., which they have done, I might add, the Kentucky senator chimed in to remind everyone that China is not a signatory of the TPP. If you look at how China, take advantage, it's through currency manipulation. It's not even discussed in the almost 6,000-page agreement, Trump said. Hey, Gerard, we might want to point out that China is not part of this deal, Paul interjected, addressing the Fox News host, Jared. Excuse me. The libertarian-leaning candidate's fact check drew applause from the crowd, who would have otherwise swallowed Trump's rhetoric without question. The moderators were also not forthcoming with the actual facts until Paul pointed out Trump's error. It's fine. I understand that. I was much happier with what he said to Rubio. He says, Mark, how is it conservative if it is conservative to add $1 trillion expenditure that the federal government is going to not be able to pay for? How is that conservative? Meaning the overspending by Rubio and the neocons on the military. Rand isn't saying that we don't need a strong military. Rand is saying that we overspend on our military and things that we don't need to be involved in. And us being involved in them makes them much less stable. It makes things less stable for the country, and it makes things less stable for their country as well. Rand is right on all of this. Trouble is, Rand hasn't gained traction because right when he had his most solid base ready to go, he immediately jumped on the Planned Parenthood as his primary issue right when Trump was taking off. Meanwhile, and this is why you tune into the show, I hope, for this analysis. Meanwhile, Trump was taking off on issues such as taxes. And we all know that Rand Paul is actually the tax hawk, the person that we would pray would get in office in terms of how he looks at taxes. He was out there ranting about Planned Parenthood, and I don't care which side of the issue you are on, you can agree that that's not going to get you in office. Meanwhile, Donald Trump was taking off on immigration and taxes. Again, taxes being one of Rand Paul's strongest issues ever. So Rand has run a very poor campaign, in my opinion. But I'll say this, I'm still rooting for him. Will I vote for Trump? I don't know. But I'll tell you what, in the primary, I'm voting for Rand if it's given to me as an option. Here's him handing it to Donald Trump. And again, I think it's worthy to note. I'm going to move the mic over. Well, hold on.
We might want to point out China's not part of this deal.
True. It's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before we get a little bit on filter
isn't that part of the problem, if I may say, Senator, that if this deal is not ratified by the US, by the Senate, then it would actually give China an opportunity to grow its economic leadership, which it's been seeking to do. And if the US is unable to take part in this trade deal with these countries in Asia, China will take the lead.
There is an argument that China doesn't like the deal because in us doing the deal, we'll be trading with their competitors. You're exactly right.
Fox News, by the way. I have to say that every 15 seconds.
There's an important point, though, about how we discuss these trade treaties that I do agree with Mr. Trump on. We should negotiate from a position of strength, and we also should negotiate using the full force and the constitutional power that was given to us. I think it's a mistake that we give up power to the presidency on these trade deals. We give up the power to filibuster, and I'm kind of fond of that power.
Fox News used for purposes of political commentary.
We give up the power to amend. And I think really one of the big problems we have in our country is over the last century, really, so much power has gravitated to the executive branch. Really, Congress is kind of a bystander. We don't write the rules. We don't make the laws. The executive branch does. So even in trade, and I am for trade, I think we should be careful about giving so much power to the presidency.
Thank you.
Don't you think that that's extremely important to note? That he's the one addressing with the out of control nature. Excuse me if you're hearing mic noise as I move this. He's the one addressing out of control natures here of the government that's bypassing Congress, that are doing things that are absolutely illegal and counter to the Constitution. So even though I began this sticking up for Trump, I stand by that. But what I'm saying on a more important level is that Rand used Trump's error in wording to point to a bigger problem and made his answer two answers at one time, addressing once again, which many of us already know, that's that government and the diminished role of Congress to stand up for the people in the government is the main problem here. And it was one of the most brilliant answers given out of all four debates. Way to go, Rand Paul. I'm still going to vote for you. You're really pissing me off, but I'm still going to vote for you. CNSnews.com. Trump, illegal aliens are going to have to go. Case says they get to stay. This is where I hope everybody, understands what it is. Frog in my throat today. What it is that Trump is saying. Trump is not racist. He is not against people of color. He is not against any of that. I have said for years that I thought the answer to the problem was twofold. First of all, I felt that we needed to quit selling. Thank you so much, Christelle. I thought that we needed to quit selling our citizenship. By that I mean you get into the country if you are rich. You get into the country. I've lost my mouse. You get into the country if you are rich. You get in if you can sneak in. You get in if you have a lot of weight and you want to wait forever to become a citizen of the country. Then you get in. I've always said that's not the way to do it. Why don't we bring in people that really want to be Americans? Or at least bring in people that are really excited to be here, even if they're going to go back. I'm all for that. My grandfather was an illegal immigrant on my dad's side, and he was deported, and I don't have a problem with that. You need to come in legally. It needs to be easier to get in. You shouldn't have to sneak in. You shouldn't be barred from entry just because you're poor. Donald Trump believes the same thing. What about that is offensive to anyone? Would you let somebody walk in your house and just stay there without knowing who they are? Not even referenced from a friend. Hey, I got a friend that needs a place to stay. Can you let him crash? No, nothing like that. That's fine for you? That's not fine for anyone. So obviously, that's what he's saying here. Well, if you were to listen to the way people talk about Trump, you'd think he was Adolf Hitler. It makes no sense at all. The rumors about the man are nothing close to what the man actually believes. And this is a really good CNS News article on him. I did Rand first and Trump second because that's the direction I'm going to vote in as it stands right now. And I'm probably not going to vote for the Republican at all if Trump or Rand isn't somewhere on the ticket. I don't think I'll vote GOP at all. I'll go back to Libertarian. Susan Jones, we have to stop illegal immigration, Republican Donald Trump told a nationally televised debate audience Tuesday night. It's hurting us economically. It's hurting us from every standpoint. It's causing tremendous difficulty with respect to drugs and what that does to many of our inner cities in particular. Trump praised the federal appeals court panel for finding that President Obama's plan to grant executive amnesty to millions of illegal immigrants is contrary to the duly enacted laws passed by Congress. And I will tell you, we are a country of laws, Trump said. We need borders. We will have a wall. The wall will be built. The wall will be successful. And if you think that walls don't work, then all you have to do is ask Israel. The wall works. Believe me. Properly done. Believe me. And then moderator Maria Bartiromo asked Trump, can we just send 5 million people back with no effect on the economy? We're going to have to send people out, Trump insisted. And he said that we're a country of laws. Well, look, if we don't send them out, then how can we tell people that they have to learn the residency test to come into the country? Meanwhile, we just let 5 million people who broke into the country and didn't care about our laws to begin with stay here. That's ridiculous. He's not saying throw them out and not let them back. He's saying they have to leave and come back properly. And I don't have a problem with that. Ohio Governor, useless, John Kasich jumped in asking if he could comment on what Trump just said. Trust me, he's our governor. He's all but useless. Do you ever notice it's new Justin Bieber CD? Not to be sidetracked, but those of you on Fact Cam, the new Justin Bieber CD, he's got an inverted cross on his stomach. Kind of creepy. All right. Cash pointed at they give you these dumbass ads. I'm not surprised. He's talentless. Cash pointed to President Ronald Reagan, who in 1986, working with Congress, allowed 3 million illegal aliens to stay in the U.S. if they were law-abiding. Ronald Reagan later issued an executive order referring deportation of the children to those who applied for amnesty under Congress's new law. But what didn't happen, we didn't build walls effectively, and we didn't control the border, Kasich said. In other words, Kasich wants to build the wall but leave everybody here, and Trump wants to have them go home. What you're going to find here is that those who have come into our country and broken the laws are going to be the first, I bet you, to be sent out. And I think all of us can agree on that. My guess is the long-term people are going to stay, even if Trump doesn't want them to. You know what? You can't just walk into. What happens if you just walk into Mexico? Do me a favor. Look up what happens to you if you break into Mexico. Go ahead and look up what it's like to be in a Mexican prison. And look up how long you're going to be in that Mexican prison if you break into Mexico. You'll be shocked. You'll find that I'm not just crazy and making this up out of my head. Go and look it up. You'll be utterly shocked. Friends, marijuana may be more effective than Adderall at treating ADHD. For those of you that don't know, Adderall is a synthetic cocaine. But for some people who are already hyperactive, it causes an ability to be able to focus extremely well. Marijuana has the same effect, even though it's, of course, not anything like cocaine. But those two aspects of those two drugs are comparative, is what it's saying. This is really good news because I can promise you, marijuana, especially if vaporized or otherwise ingested, I promise you more healthy than Adderall. I swear to God on a stack of Bibles, I can show you that would be the case. Researchers in Germany say marijuana may treat attention deficit hyperactivity disorder better than the drug Adderall. Scientists studied 30 patients with ADHD who had minimal success with Adderall or Ritalin, it says, another popular ADHD drug, of course, being Ritalin. After using medical cannabis, all 30 participants reported improved concentration and sleep. You smoke weed, man, you can't think. Not true. And reduced impulsivity. At the end of the study, 22 of the subjects decided to ditch the pharmaceuticals that they'd been taking for their symptoms and to stick with pot. The data is some of the first to frame medical marijuana as a viable treatment for the difficulty in concentrating, hyperactivity, impulsivity, and forgetfulness associated with ADHD. And you know what? I don't believe that ADHD is any kind of a symptom or something that can be treated. I think it's more of a behavioral disorder than anything else. I don't care what these ridiculous boneheads are trying to push now. It's just an excuse to put you on synthetic cocaine. But I think that's interesting to look into. It says that you can overdose on Adderall, something you can't do on marijuana. If you're lucky, an overdose on Adderall can make you really restless. If you're unlucky, you can have seizures and lose consciousness. Um, College kids take Adderall because it keeps them awake all night. They've abused it before. I've seen many stories of that. Adderall, unlike pot, can interact with a whole host of prescription drugs and can complicate underlying medical conditions. In other words, Adderall is much more dangerous than pot. There's many more references to it in this. Go ahead and read the article. You'll find that you won't be upset that you did. Friends, you're listening to The Correct Views. 3 more stories to get to. Zone, do not leave me. I just have to promote Sticker Junkie. David Lake, fellow member of the Media Speaks, also was on the Donald Trump Apprentice. His sister was, I should say. And Sticker Junkie, it's his company. He makes the stickers on the show. That's scuffed because I hit it, not because of them. Sticker Junkie, the best stickers you've ever seen, delivered exactly like you like them. Make sure you go to Sticker Junkie, put in the correct views as your promo code, and you're going to get amazing deals on your stickers as well. All right. Something you wouldn't think. I asked Christelle if she thought I would be in favor of this or not in favor of this, and she said not. I am extremely in favor of this. In Bruce Lee-like move, Northern California Police Department to adopt Nunchakus. Now, you're going to think I've lost my mind for being in favor of this. This is Veronica Roca, but I'll tell you why. First of all, I have there are 6 levels of mastery in Hoshin Soul, and that was the Korean art form that I took where I was exposed to nunchuck training. I completed level 1 and had began level 2 when I was no longer, due to my schedule, able to remain in classes. There are so many ways to restrain somebody without doing harm to them with nunchucks that you would not believe it. Especially if you're using roped ones and not chained ones. It's very easy to wrap somebody's hands up and put them down rather quickly and not do any harm to them. It's very easy to do that with nunchucks. Again, you could argue that some out-of-control cop is going to take nunchucks and bash your skull in with them when it wasn't needed. He's going to do that with a nightstick anyway. But while I know there are things you can do with a baton, just as you can with nunchucks, there are many, many ways to subdue somebody without doing a lot of harm with nunchucks. Also, if you can crack somebody in the elbow or the inner wrist right there, really good with a pair of nunchucks, you will end the fight immediately, which is arguably much better than being tased or shot. So again, this isn't gonna do anything to help or hinder the jerk cop. If he's gonna beat you with a nightstick, he's gonna beat you with nunchucks. But for the honest ones, I was very happy to see this because they can be used as a weapon to subdue and do very little harm while subduing, and that's why I was happy to see it. I haven't lost my mind here. Looking for another non-lethal way to take down suspects. I'm gonna let you watch the video while I'm reading this. I'll turn the volume down, of course, because who cares? They decided to go the way of the dragon. That's hilarious. The police force in Northern California town of about 10,000 people plans to equip its 20 officers with nunchakus, also known as nunchucks. Basically, they're what martial arts legend. How did I just turn that down? $30 a month, period. You can't mute it. It's like the devil. Unlimited data, talk, and text. Hell, I can't. The police don't go to the LA Times and watch the video though. You'll be inundated with an ad you can't turn down. Basically, they're what martial arts legend Bruce Lee used, besides his fists and feet of fury, to take down all of those bad guys in the movies. The department was looking for a versatile tool that would limit injuries to officers and the people they detained, but that would still not be an effective means of subduing a unruly suspect. Anderson's top brass decided nunchucks were the way to go, said Sergeant Casey Day, and he's completely right about this. I'll go back up to it, I promise. The police department was looking for a versatile way, and they found one. It gives us the ability to take control of a suspect instead of striking them. And of course, if you've watched enough Bruce Lee movies, you'll notice he didn't use nunchucks to pacify his enemies. But of course, it goes on to say there is a way to do it, and it's true. It's very very true. As a matter of fact, it's you can subdue somebody very very quickly with them, and you can see right here there are ways to lock somebody up in them that are almost impossible to replicate in any other way. Once you get, and again, they're not chains, so that helps you. They're more string based. You can wrap them around someone's wrist, and you know what? It's not going to give them a heart attack like a taser does. You can look up the nuts and bolts in the article. I was very, very pleased to see that personally, and again, I hope it's not going to be abused because that's not what we're in favor of here. Also, CNS news, probably the most CNS news we've ever had on one show, just by dumb luck. Dumbdees of the day already. We got two. You already know it's going to be a good dumbdee month when it's only the 12th, and you're getting two dumbdees. LGBT, that is lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgendered. They have deemed that a transgender beer is not diverse enough. It's inflammatory. Now, it's not content, are they, to have a beer company make a beer just for transgender people. And yet there'd be an uproar if you were to make beer for somebody who was a straight white guy. You'd never hear the end of it. But it's okay to make beer for the LGBT community. But not content to have their own politically correct beer, they now complain that the beer, keep in mind we're talking about beer, isn't diverse enough. This is why I would like to take this opportunity to tell the entire politically correct crowd, and most of the entire left, to go to hell. I'm dead serious. Brewdog, a Scottish craft beer company who gets the dumbdee of the day for even capitulating to these boneheads, announced their launch of a new non-binary post-gender beer. What the hell is post-gender? Oh, looking past what sex you are. We weren't looking at what sex you are to begin with until you tried to call a guy a girl or vice versa, you bonehead. A non-binary post-gender beer last week, which they called No Label. While the label was created in partnership with an LGBT group, the beer has stirred up controversy with some within the community, like we give a rat's ass, who claim that it undermines the diversity of the trans community. No Label is the world's first non-binary post-transgender beer, designed to reflect the diversity of the area and champion exclusivity, according to Brewdog's website. Bunch of idiots. This 4.6 ABV Kolsch has been brewed with hops and has changed sex from female to male flowers prior to harvest. So since they changed the sex of the hops, it's their beer. We have used these to emphasize that, like humans, beer can be whatever the hell it wants to be, and proud of it, it stated. Well, they're saying that because the hops changed sex, then it's offensive. Because I guess it turns out that they didn't change from straight to gay or whatever. But they've always been that way. Therefore, implying that we change is offensive. The stupidity level is so high in the room right now that I can feel my IQ plummeting to the ground just by the fact that I have to report on such idiots. And just when you think it can't get any worse, it gets worse. Victor Skinner, EAG News, with the dumbdee of the day. Daycare manager fired for refusing to call transgender 6-year-old a boy. I debated giving this the dumbdee of the month. I guarantee some social justice warrior piece of crap is going to win it. But I was debating giving it the dumbdee of the month, but no, it was just too creepy, and we're not that far removed from Halloween. So I'll see if I can just work it in that way and give it the dumbdee of the day. This is borderline child abuse. To insinuate that a 6-year-old knows that he's transgender when he comes to school every day wanting to be called a different sex, or she comes to school wanting to be called a different sex. This is something that the child has seen on TV, like believing that they are Batman. This is child abuse on behalf of these people that would expect you to abuse a child by calling a girl a boy. A Texas daycare worker is speaking out after she and another worker were allegedly fired for refusing to treat a confused 6-year-old girl as a transgender student. Madeline Kirksky, a Christian author and former employee at Children's Lighthouse Learning Center, told Breitbart.com. The two male parents, they probably pushed on them by the gay people because since they were always gay, they assumed that their child had to be. Two male parents of the child recently requested a school treat her as a boy, call her by a boy's name, and instruct young students to do the same. Go to hell. How about that? The school reportedly distributed an online guide on how to handle transgender students. Yeah, call a boy and a girl. That's all you need to know. They required teachers to use its suggestions, which included things like help defend their dignity and to educate yourself and your students about transgender issues. How about realizing that some people are born transgender, but it doesn't change the fact that they're wrong? They're either male or female. I'm sorry, it's simple biology, friends. Kirksky, a manager at the school, and another employee who did not want to be identified, raised issues with school administrators about talking directly to students about transgender issues and suggested the topic would be better suited for parents. No, that's unreasonable. One day she wanted to be a girl, and the next day she wanted to be a boy, Kirksky told the news site. The other kids were confused as well, calling her a boy, and she would start screaming, "I'm not a boy." And it caused a lot of confusion. In other words, these two gay parents decided that their kid was some gay victim themselves, and it's just a normal girl who is mildly confused because her parents are gay. Now, do I think that no gay people should be allowed to own children, to adopt children? No. But I think in many instances it can be very harmful for reasons that, now that you've seen the dumbdee of the day, are painfully obvious. They are abusing that girl. That's what her parents are doing. Friends, you're listening to The Correct Views. Sam I. B. Gangi, the Media Speaks, signing off, reminding you that you can donate to the show at correctviews@hotmail.com. I have a few listeners. If you're one of them, do me a favor. Please donate to the show. It helps. Every penny you give me goes towards a better show. So buy the lights, buy the back cam, all of that. It all costs money. I'm trying to get Adobe Premiere because I went to school to learn how to run it. I don't have it. But friends, thank you for listening. Please hit share. Please hit subscribe. Those things help greatly. Look up Mike McLaughlin, one of the best writers extant today, MacLauglin. Let him know you heard about his writings, his rantings, his political talk. Make sure you let him know you heard about it on The Correct Views. Good night, friends. God bless. Hit share. Yeah, I see you guys watching. You guys right there. Hit share. Thank you. God bless.